He doesn't just watch the market, he is the market. People give him equity out of respect. In his last life, he was himself. He is the most knowledgeable man in the world.
I don't always invest, but when I do, it's in the future. Stay dangerous, my friends.
Welcome to the Wealth Mindset with JD Garnier. Why do we separate and isolate our most gifted and talented? This is something I thought about recently, and I recognized it both in my own life and in the lives of people that I observe. But for whatever reason in our community, we have a tendency to separate and isolate the most gifted and talented among us. It's almost like we give them away to other cultures. Let me tell you what I mean. Most times when a child is recognized to be gifted academically or intellectually, what do we normally do? We send them to a white school. If a young man and woman is gifted physically or athletically, once they reach a certain age, we tend to send them to a private school or PWI. For whatever reason, the most gifted and talented among us, we elevate, isolate, and send off for other people to educate. And then we wonder why Black men marry white women. We wonder why our top athletes and our top earners and our most gifted marry outside of our race. But it's because in their earliest years, we separate them from our community. Instead of allowing them to lead, instead of embracing their gifts, instead of us highlighting that talent among the ones that don't have that gift of talent, instead of us embracing them and loving them and giving them what they need inside of our community, we separate them and we send them off and wonder why they don't have any connection or connectivity from our community. Let me tell you what I mean. In my personal life, I was fortunate enough, I got tested at 4 years old when I started kindergarten, and I was in a gifted class. And so what that meant for me was that I didn't have a traditional classroom experience like my friends did. When you're in gifted, they take you away from the normal classroom and they set you off into an entirely different building. The way I was taught wasn't sitting in front of a board learning, right? We had a very different educational experience. I was in class with international students and Jewish students and white kids, and I was the only Black boy in my class. I was separated from my own community in my most formative years. And so every day, my educational experience with people of all different backgrounds, and then I would come back home to my house in Uptown New Orleans in Hollywood. So for me, culturally, that was a very different thing. Culturally, that was a very difficult thing for me to deal with. Because in my educational experience, everything that I loved and knew about my culture was being challenged. And then when I would go back to my home and to my culture and to my family, everything that I was learning academically was being challenged. And so I felt the separation early on. I was also an athlete growing up. I wasn't the greatest athlete, but I just happened to be one of the best basketball players in the city at the time. I was all district. I was a scholarship college athlete. I had friends and colleagues that went on to play professional sports. And one of the things I notice is how they treat athletes. When you 12, 13, or 14, and all of a sudden you 6'5", 6'6", 250 pounds, you a young black boy with all this muscle and athletic ability, guess what? People gravitate to you. People outside of your community gravitate to you. They embrace you. They're intrigued by your gift. But not only that, they are already thinking about how to monetize that gift. And it was so many instances and situations and opportunities where I saw young black boys who were extremely gifted athletically, and they would go move in with a white family. They were embraced by all of the head people at the school. They were welcomed into their home, right? They would go on vacations with some of these people. And so their experience wasn't the traditional black experience. Most gifted athletes don't experience racism because by the time they're 13 years old, every white person that knows them treats them like they're a future draft pick. Most athletes don't have a bad impression of white people because their gifts transcended race and their experience was totally different. And instead of us embracing those gifts in our own community, we isolate them. We treat them like they're better than us. We ridicule them in some cases. And the worst thing is we hate on them. And so instead of us recognizing the talent and the gifts of the people in our own community, it's almost like culturally we push them away. And then we wonder when they get 19, 20, 21 years old, all they date is white girls. It's because since the time they were 10 years old, white families have embraced them. They've encouraged them. They've given them money. They've surrounded them with the same love that we need to be surrounding our people with in our community. But instead, we isolate them. We expecting things from them, right? And it is that expectation, it is that treatment that sends them off to other cultures and they never come back and do anything for their own community. And so, if I had to make a decision or a choice on how we did it, I would take our most gifted and talented and I would make them leaders in our own community. If there's a child that's a genius academically and testing high academically, I don't want to send him off to another school. I want him to be nurtured and taught in the schools with his own people. And he can become a beacon and a leader and a shining light in his own community around his own people, instead of having to prove himself in communities and classrooms and cultures where they don't care about him anyway. If I had the decision, I would take all of our best black athletes and I would have them all go to HBCUs. Because guess what? If you that good, the camera's going to find you. The NIL deals are going to find you. The money is going to find you. And the problem is we think that our talents and gifts need their institutions, when it's actually the reverse. Their institutions need our talents and gifts. And if we put our talents, abilities, and gifts in the places that need it the most, which is our own people, then all of us would thrive. A rising tide lifts all ships. And all it takes is one gifted, one talented person to change the dynamics of their community. But instead, we isolate them. Instead, we send them off, expecting and hoping and crossing our fingers that they're going to come back and save us. When all we had to do was keep them where they were at, surround them where they were at, embrace them where they were at, protect them where they were at, and they never had to leave.
God is for us, then who the is against us?
Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and take the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and take the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top.
Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot.